I guess you can, in a way, kind of boil it down to left curve, right curve, middle curve kind of meme, that a meaningful portion of market participants are, basically don't understand and get fooled by. There are a number of XRP holders and people that cause the price to move up in XRP, which is plenty liquid. This is not some $50 million market cap shitcoin. This is billions of dollars of volume that moved this thing. And they bought it because they were like, this isn't at $1. Bitcoin used to be at $1 and Bitcoin is now at $100,000. So don't tell me that XRP cannot go to $1,000. Don't tell me that, Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so then the thing is that makes this market so weird. Maybe people that are a little more right curve realize how many people that are market participants that are like that. And then they're like, well, I'm going to trail that trade. And there's a lot of examples like that where like the right curve thing is to like mimic the left curve thing. And that is like a very, a heavily present factor to crypto investing, which is just this sort of strange, it drives a lot of the meme coin stuff, right? Like it's like the right curve is like left curve loves this shit.
Very GM to you all out there. We're recording on Thursday. This is coming out the next day, but Bitcoin has finally crossed 100K. We're at 101. It's a weird mix of euphoria and just like lack of belief. We've been straddling 100 for a while and we just broke through. Travis, you've seen a lot. I know you've been saying that this is I think you wrote this was the best news month last month for Bitcoin ever, or like for crypto ever. How are you seeing the whole situation?
To paraphrase our incoming president, happy 100K, even to all the haters and the losers.
You're welcome. And he said you're welcome too.
You're welcome. Right. Obviously feeling great. From a crypto perspective, but even just put our pumping bags to the side and politics and stuff like that may be outside of the scope of this podcast, but I'm also just tremendously hopeful for the direction of this country. And I think it's not an exaggeration to like some sort of like civilization, society crumbling near miss, like cosmic unfucking kind of thing that just happened here. And I know maybe some people feel other ways, but I feel very strongly about that. And so that part, honestly, I'm more excited about even than pumping bags. I mean, money's money, but I was super worried about the direction of this country. And I'm so excited for a bunch of different reasons about a Trump administration. A lot of reasons have nothing to do with crypto too, but.
Yeah, I mean, you had quite a journey, and we'll touch on it a little bit later on, but you, like me, you kind of left TradFi. You were telling us, obviously a lot of people thought you were crazy, and look at me now, Mom.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. I think today is the 7-year anniversary of when I left Point72 to go do crypto full time, and that was like right at the tail end of the 17 cycle, and it has just been a strange ride. But happy to be here, and the future's bright. So
yeah, can you bring up some charts, Justin? Let's start with Bitcoin, and then we can get to your Ethereum after that.
ETH BTC.
So this is a monthly chart. I mean, these like waves keep happening, but the size of the wave is getting bigger and bigger every time. Do we have any thoughts on where this cycle range gets to? I mean, before Trump got elected, I thought we might get to like 115 or so, but given the momentum from the election, I feel like there's so many people that need to get crypto in their portfolio that didn't have it, and they have to get some exposure that I can see quite a lot higher.
Yeah, this is definitely not financial advice, and I'm wrong often, but I think it's impossible to consider Bitcoin price targets without having a view on the Bitcoin strategic reserve. And that's going to be the single biggest factor for trying to call some kind of top to this deal, because I think it just makes such a drastic difference about a price expectation. And so trying to weight the likelihood of getting a BSR and thinking through the steps, like it's like, here's how I've been thinking about it. It's like currently with price at 103 or whatever, what is the likelihood that the market is assigning to a BSR and over what time frame? What are the steps, the events, the headlines, the catalysts that take us from where we are right now to the market increasing its likelihood of a BSR happening? Like, it's like, is this...
Do you think the market is really kind of pricing this in though, or is it just, people are coming in and...
I do not think there's much in here. No, I don't think there's much in here. There may be a little bit in here. I think that there is... I think the market basically took it as a given that the United States government will stop selling the seized Bitcoin. But I also think that wasn't really weighing on price, because I don't think like the current Bitcoin price was like lower than it otherwise would be because the government was going to sell 200,000 Bitcoin or whatever over a multi-year period, and the market was doing some sort of like, discount NPV mine it. Like the market wasn't doing that. No, what the market does is they see the coins move on chain,
right,
and then price drags ass for a few days or a few weeks, and then it's over until you see the coins move again, right? So it's like, so it's, I don't think we necessarily got like a pump of price from not selling the seized coins, because I don't think it was really in there to begin with. But the BSR, this is the government TWAPing 200,000 Bitcoin a year over 5 years, right? This is the Lummis bill that's been introduced. And I don't know how to weight the likelihood. It doesn't strike me that it would be a like first 90 days of the administration kind of thing. It just seems like they have too many other huge priorities. I do think it is a first 90 days thing. Executive order that they stop selling the seized Bitcoin, I think that is a first 90-day thing. Getting a series of executive orders out of the White House, plus the establishment of this crypto council, getting this crypto czar in place, and then probably a series of settlements and no action letters from the SEC and the CFTC, and maybe some edicts around which of those agencies is, sort of better delineation of those two agencies about who's in charge of what and what it means for digital assets. I think you actually can get that in like the first 90 days, because crypto, the fair shake pack has been so massive in this election, and crypto, we now just swing a very real stick in Washington. But the BSR, I think, is sort of this like further away thing. And I think it is very worthwhile if you're thinking about price target stuff for Bitcoin. I think it is very worthwhile to think through, and maybe we can talk about this more here, what the steps would look like, the headlines where the market starts assigning a higher probability or a lower probability to the BSR.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I haven't even been considering the BSR in terms of price action. Just look at supply and demand, and the demand is coming in, and there's some Asian whales that are waking up and selling a bit.
Can I ask you guys a much simpler question about how to think of this market? So in every Bitcoin cycle so far, we've seen diminishing returns, and like the previous high, the returns to the next high are slightly lower or substantially lower. Last cycle, I think, we went from like 16.8 or so to 68. Do you expect this cycle to have continued diminishing returns, or is all this bullish news something that could push us out of that, and this time is actually different and we don't have like continually diminishing returns every cycle?
Well, we get to the boundaries of the universe, right? Like the quadrillions and quadrillions start to let's show some of these like XRP predictions, but I don't know.
Well, because if you look at it, if you like plot out the diminishing returns, right, as we've seen the returns diminish, you're looking at like 125K to 150K this cycle. Most people I talk to that we have on the show are more bullish than that. And so, that would imply that like this cycle, could be different, or we could see increased performance.
I think we should always assume that this time is not different. I think we can expect lower downside volatility, but I'm personally not holding out for like 500,000 Bitcoin this cycle, honestly. If you pull up my chart, Justin, Ari Paul, who I also respect, thinks that we're actually near the very end, and he thinks we're going to go parabolic for maybe the next couple of months, and then it's really going to be over. Obviously, like no one really knows like where we are. Some people think that the super cycle started. Some people think it's like almost over. But I think for me personally, I'm just going to assume that this time is not different, and that way I can kind of protect myself this time. I might mid curve some upside, but I'm totally okay with it.
So Ari says it's 150 to 500K. I mean, that's quite a large range. I think that's pretty safe zone to bat into. But do you agree with the top of the eighth inning? I'm quite confused where we are in the Bitcoin cycle, or just in the cycle.
Let's just let's just not do baseball stuff. How about that? Let's just not do baseball stuff with this. Again, I really like the yes BSR, no BSR. For me, that's two very different price targets. For me, no BSR, that feels like 140 to 175 ish, something like that. BSR, that feels like a swift move up to 250 at a minimum. And I would think that you probably have room. 450 is half of gold. So if you imagined part of this that is like, I struggle with this is that it's so fucking bullish that you sound silly talking about it. Like, it's like the US government is going to sell gold and TWAP into 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years. Like, it's like, you sound like Max Kaiser, like just like not a serious person, right? But there is a bill out there, and there are very legitimate talks about this thing. This is not some pipe dream. I'm not saying it definitely happens, but it is not fair to characterize this thing as a pipe dream. And if it looks like the US government is going to start doing this, it makes no sense that other countries would sit back and do nothing. That makes no sense. So having that as your base case, that all the other major and minor countries, whether or not you have a really functional currency of your own, or whether you don't, like El Salvador, but it's like, regardless of the stature, it makes zero sense that other countries would do nothing if the United States would do that. And maybe they would front run it. Maybe they, who knows, but it's having a base case of something that looks like a sovereign bidding war. If the United States goes forward with this BSR, that I believe that is a safe base case. And then when you're trying to assign a price target to that, it doesn't start with a 1 handle, and it probably does not start with a 2 handle. It is probably 300 plus, and like I said, half of gold is 450. So like the 250 to 450 range in that kind of scenario, for as wild as that sounds, I think matches up with that.
Well, I was going to use this as my pasta, but I'll use something else. But you mentioned, Bukele, and he must be doing pretty good right now. We got this meme, let's see how my Bitcoin is doing. And he's like, I'm going to buy Guatemala.
I heard he's like posting on his Instagram stories of like how much he's up on Bitcoin. He's just like celebrating. Yeah. I mean, he deserves it, right? I mean, Saylor, like Bukele, they both deserve the victory lap. They took the risk and paid off.
Yeah.
He's just a chill guy. He's just a chill guy.
On the topic of the strategic reserve, does like any part of that give you pause in that? Like, it seems to me like the second the strategic reserve is announced and we get the intentions, like the point of the strategic reserve is massively neutered because it just gets front run. Like, is there any part of you that's like, wow, I wish the US government would do this in a classified manner?
It's a great question. It's one of the factors that makes me think it doesn't happen, is that the actual logistics of it seem nonsensical to me in the exact way that you just described. And so it's just like the amount of it seems a lot easier for me to imagine them going, we're never going to sell any Bitcoin we seize again, and any other Bitcoin we seize, we're so happy that we get that, and we ain't selling that either. And that just feels so much easier to imagine then this like we have this bill that Lummis introduced. It's going to like go through committee. Oh, it's out of committee. Now it gets, okay, now we vote on the floor. Oh my God, it passed the floor. Price fucking, now we kick it over to the Senate. It goes into the committee and the Senate. Oh my God, it's out of committee. Oh my God, it moons again. Now they vote, you know, it's like.
That's the top, right?
It's just, you know, it's like, you know, I don't know. Every other country is just, you know, there's like a sovereign bidding war going on as this thing's going through committee. Like that just, I struggle with the logistics, right?
Let's do a quick look at some of the other charts. So ETH has done quite well. It's caught up, and I think there's hope, Justin. There is hope here, actually.
We got to get to the best topic of the show, right? Our ETH bags.
ETH bags. ETH is close to 4,000 right now. It's been a ride this cycle. We've touched 4,000 multiple points. So you can see all these months here. Like there was the ETF month and the speculation, and like there's been multiple touch points around 4,000. We haven't really broken through. Last cycle is the all-time high. It looks like 4,800. So well on the way. I think it's extremely possible that we can get there now. We have clearly bottomed on ETH like a month ago, right? Like it was just so desperate out there, and now just the bounce is giving some people life. What I expect to happen, there's a group that have missed Bitcoin, especially like in TradFi. Like they're like, okay, I missed it. It's 100K. It's already 100K. I missed it. Oh, there's an Ethereum ETF. This thing's at 4K. That's enough. That's enough of a reason to expect a bounce, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I do think ETH BTC has bottomed. I hope that's what you were alluding to, Jordy. But yeah, the flows. I mean, we were talking about this before the show with Travis. I mean, the flows, if you look at from the last week or so into the Ethereum ETF, have been actually extremely impressive from BlackRock and Fidelity, which is, you know, giving me some hope.
It's great. I mean, we were having so many zeros previously that now having, you know, 100 million, 200 million, it's substantial. I mean, for the size of Ethereum, I think it's still a good amount. I think, you know, some of the other coins have done some interesting stuff. There's, you know, XRP is still baffling. I have talked to some people this week and they're like, you know, Bitcoin being at 100K does not surprise anybody. We kind of all thought that this day would have come eventually, but some of these rallies in XRP are interesting. And let's get this Eric Wall video up that he found. But yeah, we're at 240, which is even higher than last week when we were looking at it. It has flipped Solana. It completely flipped Solana. It wasn't like it dabbled. It just ran it over. Now it's 25 billion above. So Solana's had a little bit of a rough week. It's kind of flat for the week despite everything else ripping. And yeah, so this is your favorite setup, Justin. Stellar and XRP are kind of making fun of the Solana guy. He can't pump. It all comes around. Like ETH was getting.
You've got
clowned.
to respect the pump.
I think Solana needs more of these videos. Let's bring up these video of some analysis of XRP. I don't know if you've seen this one, Travis, but this is some expert TikTok analysis here.
To my fellow members of Gen Z, I am tired of old people. This is how we're going to get rich and do whatever we want. It's common knowledge at this point that the richest people in the world don't have their money from a 9-to-5, they have investments. And we can't all afford to buy a house right now or invest in Fortune 500 stock. So here's what you got to do. Download an app that you can use to buy cryptocurrency. I use the Crypto app. It's literally called crypto.com, but it's an app. Anybody can do this. And then buy as much XRP or Ripple as you can afford every single paycheck. We have to invest in Ripple because for multiple reasons. One, they just made a deal with Apple to form something called Rapple. This is a huge deal because Apple runs the world pretty much at this point. Secondly, they have deals with major banks all throughout the world. They're the first cryptocurrency to undergo the process of being regulated by the government, meaning that when crypto is the main currency, it's going to be Ripple. And right now, it's only 25 cents a share. Invest, y'all.
25 cents, though. She was right.
Yeah, she outtraded all of us. Yeah.
Travis, have you seen this tweet by Vance? You know, this kind of like touches upon the meme coin stuff as well, but we have this tweet where he's saying, you know, meme coins, maybe they should pivot to being a fake business because he says wouldn't even put XRP into crime meta. It's more of a fake business meta. The fake business meta can sometimes translate into real business. If you're in the meme coin crime meta, consider pivoting to the fake business.
It's like it's like a smarter. There's like, there's a bit of like right curve in that shit post, I think, and I think it's just indicative of kind of the weirdness of this market and this weird thing. I guess you can, in a way, kind of boil it down to left curve, right curve, middle curve kind of meme. Because like with the Ripple thing, one thing that you do see, right, is the unit bias. And the unit bias is like a very real thing that a meaningful portion of market participants are, basically don't understand and get fooled by. There are a number of XRP holders and people that cause the price to move up in XRP, which is plenty liquid. This is not some $50 million market cap shitcoin. This is billions of dollars of volume that moved this thing. And they bought it because they were like, this is at $1. Bitcoin used to be at $1 and Bitcoin is now at $100,000. So don't tell me that XRP cannot go to $1,000. Don't tell me that, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so then the thing is that makes this market so weird, or one of the things that makes this market so weird, is that maybe people that are a little more right curve realize how many people that are market participants that are like that. And then they're like, well, I'm going to trail that trade. And there's a lot of examples like that where like the right curve thing is to like mimic the left curve thing. And that is like a very, a heavily present factor to crypto investing, which is just this sort of strange, it drives a lot of the meme coin stuff, right? It drives a lot, like it's like Mudang or whatever, like Peanut, right? Like it's like the right curve is like left curve loves this shit. I'm a right curve guy and I can do $10 million into this thing.
I was going to say that seems to me the whole narrative, right? The whole thesis around this meme coin meta is that eventually retail, the left curve is going to come in and they're going to buy these silly tokens because it's fun. But what's interesting is we've seen, like, I think we're seeing that's not actually true. They're actually going back to the things like XRP, the fake business model.
Yeah. Let me pose the question, because I don't think you can think of XRP in a vacuum. I would include, and maybe you guys have like a screener up. I'm not in front of my computer, but it's like HBAR, Algo, Tron, XRP. What are the other dinos that have
Stellar
pumped?
Lumens?
Yeah, that's right. XLM pumped the hardest.
This is just the 7-day top performers, and yeah, it's all of these coins: Gala, VeChain,
IOTA.
Hedera, EOS,
VeChain.
IOTA.
Yeah. Okay, so then now let's frame this as a question. Why did those as a group pop?
I heard of this like thing going around about ISO 222, like, oh, this is gonna be the basis of the government and TradFi coming in, and doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but maybe I'm missing something.
I've heard a couple theories, 2 theories that really stick out to me as possible. The first theory I heard is people are seeing Bitcoin and crypto at all-time high, and the people that are coming back first are the ones that were here during the peak in 21, and they're buying coins that are familiar to them, which are the coins that did the best last cycle. So that's the first explanation I found that could be plausible. And then the second explanation, which is plausible, and maybe these are working together, is what you were saying, Travis, where the right curve is now is trying to predict this. When retail actually comes back and there's all this interest, what are they going to buy? And then they're front running that. And maybe it's a mixture of both.
Yeah, like maybe all the right curvers, they're pumping these things on purpose so that it captures the attention. And then, it gets retail in. If you can share my screen, Justin, it's like, this is kind of relatable, where it's not the top when normies start buying. It's when they start buying, they're up 5x, and they keep adding because their confidence grows. And I think that's what, eventually leads to tops. And I think, we are at the first phase of people buying XRP or whatever, right? They make like a 4x. They feel like a genius. And then they're like, oh, like, why did I only put 10K? Let me put 50K. And like, they start venturing out. And I think we're kind of starting the process. That's kind of like what I think right now.
I agree with all of those. I would throw in the rumor that U.S. domiciled crypto projects may not have capital gains taxed, which I don't think is legitimate, but it is in because the Cardano and the XRP communities, I think these are communities that nobody here today participates in. And I don't think any of us have a particularly good understanding of that community. And it's kind of like the YouTube community where like sometimes I'll see some like crypto YouTuber and they have like 700,000 subscribers. I've never heard of the guy. I've been doing this for 7 years. I've never heard of him. And you can tell that it's just this corner that is just nothing like the corner that's sort of like I spend time in, you guys spend time in, this sort of thing. And I think that those corners are the types of corners that can get themselves worked up over our bags are not going to have capital gains because they're U.S. domiciled. Like I'll give you an example of this. Charles Hodgkinson, he got like a few weeks ago, right after the election.
Friend of the pod.
Okay, so he is that right?
He's come on once, yeah, for a 1 year anniversary special.
Did you see the clip from he does like an unbelievable amount of YouTube content generation. Did you see the one where he was like, I've been spending a lot of time with the Trump administration and like the next few years I'm going to be like very focused on like advising this administration? Like, I don't know how true that is. It would not be my knee-jerk reaction that that's particularly fucking true. That's just, maybe I'm wrong about that. That would be my knee-jerk reaction. But like he tells his guys, he tells that whole crazy community that, and like, oh my God, like it's like Cardano is going to be like the chosen crypto of like this new administration or whatever, right? So I think that there is that component to it. I think ETFs. I think there's an ETF component, specifically with XRP, where like this thing could be first up, and I think that matters.
Do you think XRP can just get an ETF? I mean, didn't all the stalling happen for Ethereum and Bitcoin, given that they were not having some legitimate price source, and then eventually CME futures got accepted as a legitimate price source? Don't we need to go through like that CME route, you think?
It's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what you're obviously getting, this is the dawn of a new day from a regulatory perspective. And so it's like, do the new CFTC, SEC, crypto council, crypto czar, do these people decide like, okay, we still want to do it through this CME futures route? Or is it like, no, we don't, like, it's like, that was bullshit. We don't need it. We can go some other way, Coinbase plus Kraken or whatever pricing, fine. I don't know the answer to that. But you bring up a good point.
And we don't even know like if there is an ETF I mean, people barely bought the Ethereum ETF. Like if there's an XRP one, maybe these retail start putting their life savings and their retirement plans into an XRP ETF, which would be interesting. The thing that's clear though is that these are not necessarily the same communities, like you said, that we're used to on crypto Twitter. Like let's say like Sui pumps, then probably there's some people going on there and trying to find like the meme coins on Sui, and there's some beta. We had Justin Bram go to the XRP meme coin, shitcoin stuff and try to capture some of the obvious like catch-up trades. Like we talked with Flood last week when hype was doing really well. We were buying some Per because it makes sense. You buy some Jeff coin. When XRP pumped like crazy, Justin tried to get into the weeds. And what did you find, Justin? What was going on in there?
It's very interesting. So I'm in some DGen group chats, and the thinking was like, well, XRP is pumping. Like they're going to have a great DeFi community. This thing just flipped Solana. Maybe this is going to be the next place for Ponzi games for DeFi. So a bunch of us in the group chat were like, well, how do we actually even use the XRP chain? Turns out there's XRP Ledger, which is a MetaMask snap. So basically with your existing MetaMask wallet, you can get onto the XRP Ledger and you can bridge your XRP via Coinbase. So I actually bought a bag of XRP, bridged it over to my wallet, and then started playing with, this is what's heralded as like the Jupiter of XRP. It's called Magnetic. A bunch of us bought the project token. Unfortunately, I bought it right around here, let's say, and didn't do too well on this Magnetic token. But it's interesting. Like if this marketplace takes off, I mean, this is like the main DEX for XRP, and it's only trading at a 16 mil FDV, which is fascinating. And then they have their own little ecosystem of meme coins here. This is the biggest one called Army. It's trading at a $30 million FDV. And it was just like an enlightening experience to play around with this chain, see that there's like actually a chain out there and like a very, very primitive ecosystem that's actually been around for a while. I mean, these tokens have been around. The magnetic DEX has been around for a long time. So unfortunately lost some money there, but, gained a lot in experience.
It's not a loss until you sell, Justin. It's not a loss until you sell.
Yeah. Well, I may or may not have capitulated. Back to ETH, my safe zone.
How's the chain work?
Actually, it's great.
Okay, yeah, because it's like it's like a Google sheet, right? Like it's like
So
completely centralized, completely.
Google
Yeah,
Sheet.
it is.
So they have this one really genius part of the whole system, which I think we need to copy in Ethereum land, Solana land. There's a minimum amount of XRP required to have an account on the XRP ledger. So you need to hold 10 XRP in your account just to use it, which I think is really interesting. I mean, it's quick. I can't speak. I haven't looked at the centralization component or if it's just a Google sheet, but it's quick. It works well. And I didn't have any issues with it. The infrastructure is not really there, but like it works.
The Jupiter of XRP at 17 million. That sounds like value to me. I'm not sure if anyone's going to use that chain, but
Yeah, it's a mid-curve play. There's a lot of left curve into XRP, and I don't know
Yeah.
if these guys want to go find magnetic.
But it's funny, they're doing the same thing we've been through, right? They've got the farming pools, they've got a meme launch pad, they've got NFTs. It's really interesting how they're like just running it all back. We'll see what happens.
Can you go back to magnetic girls? That's on the NFTs. Damn.
Oh, this is probably similar to Cardano girls, so maybe there's
Are you
a
simping?
crossover
Are
there.
you simping, Taiki?
uh,
Wow, Taiki's excited.
I like the wings. I like the wings. Not gonna lie.
Likes the
Justin,
wings.
the transaction fees super cheap, right?
Yeah, I didn't even notice it. I think it's basically zero.
So maybe to steel man myself or just devil's advocate a little bit of me saying that XRP is a joke and if you're long, you should sell everything there. We have been doing this for as long as I've been in crypto. We have been doing this exploration of what do you need decentralization for and how decentralized is decentralized enough. And we continue to do that exploration today. And a big pitch for Solana is that it's fast and it's cheap and that it works. Although I think, as we all know, it actually doesn't like always work. Like when you really, you really want it to work, like when everybody wants it to work, it actually doesn't work that well, which is notable. But that's the that's the pitch for Solana. And so maybe with XRP, if you're just like, hey, it's a Google sheet, it's always going to work and it's always going to be cheap. And like, what do you need decentralization for, and how decentralized is decentralized enough?
Yes, I think there's something to be said there, but I will point out, like, I think it is fair to say you can be like the price of the XRP is objectively wrong, or so the price of Solana is objectively wrong. Solana FTV is 150, XRP is 250. Like, just looking at usage, adoption, traction metrics, either Solana's wildly undervalued or XRP is like wildly overvalued. I don't see like a case where they're both fairly valued.
Let's talk a little bit about financial nihilism more concretely as well, Travis. So you've obviously been thinking about this for a long time. You've written like some really good thought pieces, especially during the height of this nihilism. Have your thoughts changed? Is this like new land now, and like has this AI thing changed some of the stuff you're looking at?
Yeah. So I write this monthly. It goes out the first every month. I've been writing it for over 6 years now. The February 1st monthly of this year was entitled "The Lack of Pretense That Any of This Shit Does Anything or Will Ever Do Anything." I turned it into a tweet thread. It went super viral. The next month I wrote "Financial Nihilism, the Zeitgeist of Young America." It went even more viral. That ended up being the most widely read thing I've ever written. So both of those like really resonated with people. That thesis did sort of like what I was talking about there did very much play out both like immediately, like in the first like couple months afterwards. And then I think if you're going to try and characterize 2024, it also kind of played out like that. With, there's been a ton of meme coin mania, and I think in some ways, some of these dino coins, I think you could characterize through that lens as well too. A lack of pretense in any of this shit does anything or will ever do anything. With financial nihilism, I think the update that I would want to put on that is that nihilism is the opposite of hope. And I strongly feel that this Trump administration brings hope to America and to the world at large. And I think it is my base case that is going to play out in a positive way in the coming years. And that as that backdrop changes, there's at least the potential for people to get less nihilistic in their own lives in various different ways.
Like, speaking of hope, right? This is like a crypto podcast. So from like a markets perspective, like maybe the nihilism aspect says, okay, like fuck it, like let's just buy memes. Are you just saying that, Travis, you're thinking about allocating more to utility or tech, and focusing less on memes? Is that kind of like the world you're envisioning for markets? And do you think the meme coin dominance has topped, as contrary to like what Murad has talked about?
So I would not be, what I was just describing, I think was more of a multi-year, like broad turning the direction of a ship, like from a societal, from a cultural perspective. How that trickles down into crypto subsector market performance in 2025, that I think I'm less sure about. I can certainly imagine, would it be my base case that a basket of Murad's memes will outperform Bitcoin in 2025? That would be my base case. I'm just being honest. That would be my base case. But that's just more of a call on like where I kind of think we are in the crypto cycle and risk appetite, how risk appetite has been expressed over the last 18 months in crypto, the degree to which I think that would continue over the next year. Where do I think we are from a macro perspective, kind of central bank liquidity, macro cycle easing type of stuff. That would be my base case.
Is the hyper gambling going to change though? Like, is this, I don't want to make fun of really, obviously like Rapple or whatever this young lady was talking about is kind of batshit crazy, but the other stuff she started with of, hey y'all, our generation, we're not making any money. Like, these guys own the assets. We just we got to take a shot here. That's not going to change, right? Like, regardless of whatever, like the wokeness and the wokeness, we're stuck in a place where I don't know if it's 33 trillion or 34 trillion or 35, because the number keeps going up on the national debt so quick. I can't even like check the headlines, but we're stuck in a place where, inflation is going to keep coming. They're going to have to keep printing. They have to inflate away the debt. There is no other way. That's the solution, unfortunately. And if you're not holding assets and you're sort of just battling against the waves, you are going to want to hyper gamble, especially if you're, like trying to make it out. Is that going to change?
So a couple things I would say there. The first thing I would say is you can have a view on the Department of Government Efficiency and how effective that's going to be. And you can take a view on this administration's ability to deregulate and how effective they're going to be there. And if you put an effective Doge combined with effective deregulation, that does put the sanctity of the dollar in a much stronger spot. I'm also just not the dollar's about to collapse guy. I'm not. I never have been. You can't find me on record talking about that. The way I've talked about it for years is the following. The U.S. monetary policy is the best monetary policy house on a really shitty monetary policy block. I've said that many, many times. And what I mean by that is, like, when you look at what we're doing relative to the euro or relative to the yen or relative to the yuan, we're in much better shape than anybody else. Like it's like just much better shape. So like the euro will collapse before the dollar. The yen will collapse before the dollar. Yuan, kind of harder to say just because it's hard to get good data out of there. But I don't think anybody would argue that China is like in a better spot with their currency than the US dollar right now. And so this path to like an eventual dollar collapse, well, you got to get through a yen collapse, a euro collapse, and probably a yuan collapse. If those happen, you're also going to collapse like.
I mean, when you say collapse, what do you mean collapse? I don't really foresee a collapse. I just foresee a situation where, you know, inflation becomes endemic to the economy. You can't raise rates. You can't cut rates. You know, you're kind of just having to eventually get to austerity, but like nobody wants austerity, and like you just end up getting like redistribution and all kinds of other stuff.
I think what you're describing can continue to happen. I guess I just meant specifically people that are trying to frame this from the lens of a inevitable dollar collapse. And I think the point I was trying to make was that all of these other currencies are going to collapse before the dollar, and all of that is dollar strengthening, not dollar weakening. And so then maybe 50 years from now, you get to like the final boss of like the yen's collapsed, the euro's collapsed, maybe the yuan is collapsed, dozens of other minor currencies have collapsed. Yet the US dollar's left, Bitcoin's trading at 800,000 a coin or some shit like that. And now you have this like final, okay, now what happens, right? And I try and remind people kind of that. So, but what I was going to say is like, Doge and deregulation, I think, can just, if it's effective, can just, I think, make people in general feel a lot better about the sanctity of the dollar. How that rolls through to inflation, like just reported CPI inflation, I'm not sure. I don't think I have a strong view on that. I can imagine mass deportation being, you know, causing an inflation impulse initially. Like I think I can imagine that. I do not have like a strong conviction.
Yeah, and then we'll have the tariff games. We're gonna have all this stuff, and on the Doge thing, I don't know, Justin and Taiki, do you guys have any view? Like when people start getting their benefits cut or stuff, you know, I don't know what they're gonna be cutting first, but usually when somebody goes in and says, okay, you know, we're going to reduce the budget and we're going to find things. I remember at my first trading job, they started cutting the weekly massage therapist that was coming in and massaging all the traders. So we had a whole room. We had a room with like a massage table, and they just cut them. No more massage.
Yeah.
That was unpopular. You know, people start like, you might not need it, but you're used to it.
My view is the consensus view, which I think everyone on this call probably shares, which is it's going to be really hard for them to cut anything that matters. But like the fact that the group exists and the fact that we're seeing news articles about this is going to be beneficial in the long term. But of course, it's going to be extremely hard, if not impossible, for them to cut the Pentagon's budget, right?
Yeah, I just think it's crazy that it's called Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. You know, like I feel like, you know, I agree with everything Travis said around just people hyper gambling. You know, you can argue that the future for crypto looks really bright, and maybe we have builders that moved away from the US, come back to the US and start building and whatnot. But I think in the short term, you know, we really haven't invented like that many new things, right? The greatest innovation we had was like pump fund and like recreating ICOs and like meme coins. So I think in the short term, we're going to continue hyper gambling, but maybe next cycle or in a few years, we're going to have like actual use cases. Because if you told me that, you know, Pump Fund would be the biggest app in 2024 to like naive Taiki 4 years ago, I would have been like, dude, I don't believe you, right? Like we're going to, you know, onboard the banks or like, you know.
I think I was feeling that way, but I think I'm kind of starting to disagree. Like if you told me today crypto had topped and it was time to sell the stables, I don't think I would pull, like I think I would keep funds in Athena. I would be lending on Aave, right? Like I think there are applications where you can keep your money in the ecosystem and not just pull it out.
Yeah. So a couple things. So on the cutting government spending, so the government is 25% of GDP. So if you cut 2.5%, So if you cut 10% of 25% of GDP, that's 2.5% of GDP, also known as like a very significant recession. Trump has no desire to do that. There's just no way that's going to happen. The S&P 500 is arguably the metric that he cares about more than any other metric. With the government headcount layoffs, they're giving 2 years of severance, 2 years. So that is a very significant sort of smoothing factor when you're giving that much severance. And then the way that I was thinking about them actual cutting budget, my guess is there's like so much waste in the government that maybe you can cut 5% of, 1.25 points of quote unquote GDP, but that there's so much waste that it's not actual GDP. It's literally just taking dollars and putting them in a bonfire. And so that it wouldn't actually hit the economy because it's just so unimaginably wasteful that it doesn't flow through like that. And he gets that done in the first couple of years, and then they go, oh, we're going to try and keep doing more of that kind of thing. So that was one thing I want to say. And then going back to the alts deal, the very beginning of this, I think utility versus memes, to me, the key factor for that in 2025 is just going to be this regulatory backdrop. And just to repeat, my base case is that very quickly you get a series of settlements and no action letters out of the SEC and the CFTC combined with executive orders out of the White House in conjunction with this crypto council and crypto czar, and that you get that quickly, and that in aggregate that looks like a de facto regulatory framework. And then you have legislation that has to work on a longer time frame, and maybe we can get that done in a year. I don't know exactly the time frame, but I think it maybe matters less because I think you get the de facto regulatory framework quickly. And then does that lead to a bunch of token structure changes of existing tokens or new tokens that come out with a different set of token structures that look sort of, security-like and have more compelling value accrual mechanisms associated with them that they can now do because you've got a regulatory backdrop that allows for them to do that? And then do you have a whole bunch of these things that are sort of pseudo securities that are fee generating, that are returning those fees in a more compelling value accrual manner? And does that whole kind of wave sort of just kind of take off and then get steam in a way that pulls capital out of meme coins because people just feel better, and maybe TradFi guys are like, oh, it's got a yield to it now, and the regulatory backdrop is diminished, so now it's like the capital is actually you're going to get some like big traditional pockets that will go into these directions. I can imagine a world where that happens for sure over the next 12, 18 months. But I can also imagine a world where it's like, no, you're copying these things. The meme coins, you're copying them wrong. The comp is parlays. Like the comp is multi-leg sports betting parlays. And those the popularity of those continue to rip. So that's actually what you need to be thinking about the staying power of this meme coin sector. And so it stays because people just want to keep acting like that. And honestly, that latter thing kind of feels a little bit more likely to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Taiki had the best analysis on this. Like Taiki famously capitulated on like interest in most of his portfolio in DeFi because even if all of the things we want to happen, I expect to happen from a regulatory standpoint come true, these things are massively overvalued relative to like the fees they could potentially accrue. And most of the fee switches aren't even on, right? So we don't even know how much usage would decrease when fees go on, but like they're massively overpriced. I mean, Uniswap's at $16 billion right now. So
yeah, that being said, after I sold my DeFi coins, they have gone on a tremendous run. So maybe I don't know what the fuck
Guys,
I'm talking about.
You're ruining my my pastas. I'm gonna have to use all the Taiki mogging pastas. So.
I'm getting mogged so hard, it's ridiculous.
Let's go to our last segment because I have a lot of Taiki mogging pastas I want to share. Glad you're enjoying it. Cool. So Justin, maybe kick us off, and then I'll go second.
So yesterday was an exciting day. Bitcoin hit 100K. I was euphoric, even though I don't nearly hold enough Bitcoin, just a teeny amount. But it struck me as odd that the day Bitcoin hit 100K, so many people got blown out logging the Hawk Tua meme coin and just getting dumped on by insiders. And this tweet just had me cracking up. People bought this the day BTC went to 100K. It's like, could you imagine you look back on this historic day, December 4th, 2024, right before Inauguration Day, you aped into the Hawk Tua meme coin when Bitcoin was hitting 100K. Just absurd. And I think it's like very on topic to our nihilism versus, fundamentals talk here. There's a lot of people here getting tripped up in the meme coins.
Yeah, people will never stop aping meme coins. People will never. They're gonna keep buying, keep getting rugged.
Yeah, I mean, Taiki, I gotta do this to you, man. It's just been the whole week, my entire feed. There's so many of these. Let's go through a couple. So, first one says you've just been Taiki'd. You're a verb now.
Yes, I did it.
You were like, I am bullish hyperliquid. You came on the show. You said I'm bullish. Haven't sold the hype. I'm going, and then we get a crash.
I gave people a really good entry, though.
You did. Credible Chris says this has a picture of you here. The last thing you see before your bag nukes 50%. And,
but you got to give me credit, though, right? As soon as I bought this, the entire market started pumping. Not my bags. My bags started going down, but everything else started pumping. I'm like the sacrificial lamb to activate all these green dildos.
Here's my favorite here from Darren Lau. AI agent that counter trades Taiki. Who's building this?
Yeah, it's like inverse Kramer, but inverse Taiki.
Inverse Taiki. Oh man.
I would long, if someone creates that agent, I will just buy that token. Then I'm perfectly hedged. I'm bullish my bags. I'm bullish inverse Taiki.
The universe hedged. Will explode. It will be like one of those moments where the weight of the magnetic pull will be repelled equally, and it will end up in a black hole. So do not buy the inverse Taiki agent.
I don't know, man. I think it's going to go up. I think there's enough AI devs out there that's financially incentivized to do it. So if you're thinking of it, let me know.
Travis, have you bought any AI agent coins, or what's your thoughts on those agents?
So I have spent, a good amount of time on these over the last, really, I think right at 2 months now was when GOAT came onto my radar. I saw when Mark Andreessen sent Terminal of Truth's $50,000 worth of Bitcoin. I think that was in July, and then kind of didn't follow up around it. But I think the GOAT thing kind of got on my radar in kind of early October, and have been spending a lot of time on it. I would prefer to kind of not talk about exactly what I own or don't own, but I do think it is very interesting. I think the space is very interesting. I think it has the potential to be the headline sector for this cycle. I'm not married to that view, but I think it does have the potential for that. Part of my view on that is that this emerging sector, kind of AI agent, meme coin intersection sector, is very interesting with a backdrop of the rest of crypto being incredibly uninteresting. I don't know how you guys feel about it. It's just, name me another sector that's super interesting. It's hyper liquid. This is the 19,000th DEX that we're going to do. And this is what we're getting fired up about, right? Immediately goes to 10 billion. It's trades over. Maybe it's not. People don't think it. It's
Well, the good thing is the agents keep getting better as well. I mean, they're evolving. We're seeing, we talked about Fraser last week, and at some point we're going to see some agent be a billionaire, right? It might not be next year, but at some point it can happen.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think it'd probably be, if you gave me even money that within 2 years you would have an AI agent with $1 billion worth of economic resources in a portfolio, I would take that bet, even money. Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about the consequence of that. I mean, just for society or just as humanity, we're oh my God.
Yeah, that's my entire thesis for the AI meme coin Omega cycle, right? The collective market cap of all these agent coins is under 5 billion. It's under 5 billion. That's way too small. Like if you just pick decent, you just buy and believe, buy and hold, like I think you're gonna be fine. And that's kind of the reason I top blasted Fartcoin.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is very early, to Jordy's point. It's very, very early here. And I do think that there's multiple time frames to this trade. There's sort of like, do I think we will blow a bubble in the very near term? Like to Taki's point, it's 4 billion today. Will it go to 20 in the next 3 to 6 months? What do I think the likelihood is that the 4 billion goes to 20 billion in the next 3 to 6 months? I take a view on that likelihood. Do I want to go play in that game? And then there's like what is the likelihood that there's some multi-year runners that are going to emerge in the next, let's give it the same time frame, 3 to 6 months. There's like a B&B in there somewhere or something like that, where you buy it and you just want to own this thing and buy more on dips kind of thing. And I think that both of those look attractive to me.
I think a lot of the stuff is sort of just emerging, and we'll see which teams are able to create something that evolves in a very interesting and powerful way. And I'm sure something will. Cool. Let's wrap up the pastas. Taiki, you wanna show us your pasta?
Yeah, I was gonna mog myself, but Jordy already mogged me, so I had to quickly look for a new one. So Justin, if you can pull up my screen here. We always think about, investing in the future of finance. And, I sometimes feel like this Zoomer, right? It's like I spend all this time looking at, DeFi, like AI fundamentals, and then some boomer just walks up to me and say, hey, like, your shitcoins are bad. Like you should have bought a real coin like XRP. And he would be so true, right? These boomers would be so like, it's so true, I should have just bought some XRP, bought some XLM, hit their
I saw a tweet. Somebody said that if you bought XRP in the last 36 hours, you've outperformed people holding Ethereum for like the last, 2 years or something. It was some crazy stat. So if you literally just came and top blasted the worst, situation, you've outperformed all the geniuses that are bag holding ETH for cycles. I mean, it's insane.
Are you okay, Justin?
I'm trying to internalize that you have to respect the pump, and it will come back to you, and you will get the pump if you respect other people's pumps. So I'm happy for the XRP community and thrilled for them, thrilled for the Solana community. Although I do think what happened to the Ethereum community is happening to this Solana community. Mert is now talking about inflation and issuance reduction. I do think this thing is all the same story that just gets played out over time and time again. So, but happy for XRP.
Yeah. Travis, you have a pasta as well. We can get up this meme.
Yeah, you get.
Just woke up in a cold sweat. Had a nightmare. Taiki made a bud stonks. So the actual meme coin is tweeting itself, hoping that
Taiki, is this to scale?
Dude, I'm Japanese, man. What do you think?
Wow.
But thank you, Travis, for thinking that I had that big of a schlong. It's an honor.
Wow. Yeah, here we go.
And you had one more meme that you shared, Travis.
Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, so this one just hits a little. Yeah, I think people can see it on the screen. This one just hits a little close to home, just because I came out of 10 years of traditional, hedge fund investing, and people thought I was totally crazy to leave a good traditional job to go into this wacky world of crypto. And it has, without a doubt, been an insane ride, but it did feel, like some kind of moment last night when we crossed 100K. So yeah.
Just for our Spotify listeners, the girl says, Dad, where were you when Bitcoin hit 100K for the first time? He says, looking for stocks trading below their intrinsic value. and then the son says, fucking retard. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys mind if I do a different pasta? Just follows off of Travis's nicely.
All right. Let's see one more.
All right.
And this one, Travis, that was a good segue for mine. You wouldn't get it. Crypto is so easy. When you hear that, and then I'm hearing the hell still. Sol versus ETH, L2 warfare, 95% drawdowns, humiliating family meals. I mean, we just had Thanksgiving. I can't even gloat about my bags because I've been holding ETH. Meanwhile, XRP, TikTok, these people are doing well, up 780%, and I'm still there. I wouldn't even say in the trenches, just in hell.
Just in hell.
Humiliating family meals is hilarious.
It's so true.
Yeah.
That's definitely how they feel like, right? Like crypto is so easy. I mean, when you're in this situation where we haven't had a substantial correction since the election. Every single coin has had its moment, and it just feels like the easy mode, which for people that are used to efficient markets like you and I, Travis, I know for me it just feels a bit unreal that there's this much inefficiency where the price discovery is happening to such an incredible degree. I think you said something in the pre-show of like, if you can just buy fear and sell greed in crypto, it's 10 times more powerful than any other market.
Yeah.
We'll see how things last through the holidays. Any end of year, do you track this stuff? I mean, you've done this newsletter for a long time. Like, is there December sort of selling for tax realizations and stuff like this? What do we expect?
There's got to be at least some of that in some names, I think. But I think you probably, and maybe we can do some pullback in December. I get the sense that you want to be long this stuff Jan 1, though. I think you will see significant inflows into the space in the first month or 2 months of the year. I think there's liquid focused crypto funds that really have continued to just not raise very much capital. And I think that's changing in very real time. And you are seeing significant inflows into those types of funds right now, and that money's got to go somewhere. And I think we're just kind of, right in the middle of that. I don't know. For me, if we get super over leveraged, you can do a lick wipe, I think at any time, a down 20, kind of clean up OI, clean up funding rate kind of thing, and back higher. We did a number of those in the last cycle. I think we can get those kind of at any time, but it still feels like the part of the cycle where you're kind of hoping for that with a little dry powder. You probably want to be buying there. My guess is others want to be buying those kind of things as well too. And I think the first kind of larger scale, longer, deeper pullback, the thing that's on my radar is if you have inflation heat up and the Fed has to look to reverse course, and now we're talking about hikes instead of cuts, and that could strike me as the kind of thing that could put a major pause on all of this and give BTC some meaningful pullback that lasts some number of weeks and months rather than days. And I think everything down market cap would act as beta to that in that type of situation. But that strikes me as a trade I think that's probably after we go up higher.
Yeah, it'll happen at some point though, right? Like it seems inevitable. We've seen Trump and Powell clash last time he was president, and I'm expecting some moment where, assets are obviously at all-time highs. We're gonna get prices go up. It's inevitable when everybody just has, more money in their stock accounts, everything else. He's gonna want to raise rates, and Trump is not gonna like that. We're gonna have this Twitter bashing of Powell, and this guy, got to get rid of him. And I think Powell has been very clear that he doesn't give an F. He's just gonna stay on until, is it 2026? I think.
April, I think.
Yeah.
The rumor is that the Treasury Secretary spot is like the dry run for the Fed chair appointment. I don't know how much legitimacy there is to that, but I've heard that it's basically like if Bessent does a good job over here, that's the movement into Fed chair, and then Trump brings somebody else into Treasury.
Yeah, I mean, one prediction, I guess, is around Q1 we start getting higher inflation numbers. Powell starts pushing back. We get this like big battle between them, and then as he replaces him in 2026 with some more favorable lackey, then we just start printing again. And then that's when we kind of hit the peak. Maybe that'll be the 250 plus. Guys, it's been fun. Obviously, a historic week. I want to end with some clips from this video that I saw posted on Twitter, which kind of encapsulated some of the moments that we've had in the last dozen years, I guess, of Bitcoin journey. And Travis, thank you for coming on. Much appreciated. Let's put some of this clip and end in a high note.
I'm right here watching history be made.
Hi everyone, it's been a while since I did a video, and I just want to do a quick.
I'm Roger Beer. Today I'm at the Mt. Gox World Headquarters. The topic I want to talk about today is Bitcoin neutrality.
Continuité d'homme.
What do you think?
I think it's rat poison.
So get away, another way to feel what you did on yourself to know and let yourself go. You know you did lose yourself.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin is the best crypto asset. What's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best. Okay. But take all your money, buy Bitcoin. Then take all your time, figure out how to borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin.
Okay, here's a $10 bill. This is garbage. This is garbage. You people in South Africa, you have your rand, right? That's going to zero. That's going to zero. This is going to zero too. Euros are going to zero. The yen's going to zero. The Chinese currency is going to zero. It's all going.
You can't bear to sell it, mortgage it, finance it, and convert the proceeds into the hardest money on earth, which is
Everyone, listen up. You didn't lose your money. Now, you have your... Technically, you kind of lost your money.
And I'm aware that you were lying in the gutter. 'Cause I did everything to be there by your side. So when you tell me I'm the reason, I just can't believe the love.
Always, guys, respect the pump. I respect the pump in all assets.
So what do you wanna say? What's your point of view? The mind schemes that you wanna
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero. Microsecond. Whoop. Like that.
Oh, so it's a hustle. Yeah, it's a hustle.
Oh, we went to zero! Yo!
I just wanted to let you know jail's not that bad. It's
So get away, another way to feel what you did.
Sometimes people reply to my tweets and say like, it takes a scammer to know a scammer, and I think the irony there that is like, I don't think I'm a scammer, but at the same time, I understood what he was trying to do.
Guys, in my trunk. Guys, in my trunk. My wife knows that we're here, by the way. She knows we came to do
So what do you want?
From the United States of America, it's
Anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, sex trafficking, those are real use cases. The last time I've ever stated my opinion.